innovation, not instant perfection. So I think it's been interesting to watch as Google scaled up the expectations of our users and of the public of our products. Because now when we launch something, people immediately say, well, it's so rough, it's not very good, right? And it turns out when we were small, we launched really rough things that weren't very good all the time. But the key is iteration. When you launch something, can you learn enough about the mistakes that you made and learn enough from your users that you ultimately iterate really quickly? I call this my Max and Madonna theory. When you look at like Apple, Madonna, they were cool in 1983. They're still cool today, 2006, 23 years later. And that's really amazing to look at. People think of them as very innovative and very inventive. How do they do it? And the answer is they don't do it by being perfect every single time. They do, there's lots of missteps along the way. Apple had the Newton, Madonna had the sex book. There's been all kinds of controversies and mistakes made, okay? But the answer is, when you make the mistake, you just iterate your way out of it, or you reinvent yourself. And I think that's ultimately the charge that we have, is to launch these innovations and then make them better. And there's a lot of instances where we've launched laughable products. When we did Google News, or we made laughable mistakes. When we did Google News, I remember we really wanted to launch in the first part of the week. It's something we learned early on, that it's better to launch a product in the, sometime between Monday and Wednesday than it is later in the week. And we sort of we realized we weren't going to launch by Wednesday. So we decided we'd take another 4 days to make the product better. So we had this meeting on Wednesday, and we said, okay, well, we've got a couple of extra days. Should we implement a new feature? And there were 6 people on the team, and we got into a big argument. If we had more time to launch this extra feature, should we put in the feature sort by date? Or should we have search by location? Would people want to see the freshest news, or would they want to see news that was relevant to their location? And it turns out this might be obvious to some of you. It's certainly obvious to the journalists which ones are going to be is going to be more useful. But being computer scientists, we didn't really know. And because there were 6 of us, we ended up in a dead heat. 3 people said we should do sort by date. 3 people said we should do search by location. The team got locked in an hour-long argument about which one was more important. And in the end, I had to sort of step up and say, okay, guys, we don't know which one is more important, and we're not going to end up doing either now because we can't make up our minds. So let's just spend 4 days polishing the thing up, and then we'll see what the users say. So we launched on Monday morning, and when we looked at the email that had come in by about 5 p.m., we had gotten about 305 messages. And 300 of them asked for sort by date. And 3 of them asked for search by location, and 2 of them could have been loosely defined to maybe be asking for search by location. But the users answered this question 100 to 1 really easily for us. And it turned out it was really the right thing to do, to just get the product out there and then have the users tell us where it was most important for us to spend our time. And we've done other things like Google Video, I think, is really funny. We launched Google Video, and the funniest thing about it is we called it Google Video, but you couldn't actually watch video. So people found this very counterintuitive. It turns out that users really do want to watch video. That was the first feature they asked for. And we, that one isn't as much of a shocker to me. So one of our first iterations was actually getting the rights to play video and having a really great player experience in the browser so people could watch the video as opposed to just searching the closed captions. But a lot of times, people say, oh, look at Google, and there's all these innovative things, and they remember the high points. And they'll ask me sometimes, like, have you ever made mistakes? And the answer is we make mistakes every time, every day, thousands of things wrong with Google and its products that we know we could fix. But if you launch things and iterate really quickly, people forget about those mistakes, and they have a lot of respect for how quickly you build the product up and make it better.